Stop exactly where you are, hold your breath, and say a prayer because what happened yesterday on the set of Rüzgarli Tepe was not in the script, it was not a visual effect, and it was certainly not a game. We have watched the intense, hate-to-love story of Halil and Zeynep with bated breath, but yesterday, the fiction turned into a near tragedy that shook the entire production team to its core. Gökberk Yildirim and Semra Arda, the couple whose chemistry sets our screens on fire, faced a life-or-death situation during the filming of the season finale's most dangerous stunt. In a moment that lasted only seconds, but felt like an eternity, the safety equipment failed, leaving Semra dangling over a sharp drop. But in that moment of absolute horror, when the crew froze and the director screamed in panic, one man did not hesitate. Gökberk Yildirim threw himself into danger without a second thought, catching Semra's hand inches from disaster and proving to the world that he would literally die rather than let her fall. To understand the gravity of this incident, we need to set the scene. The crew was filming on location in a rugged, rocky canyon outside of Istanbul to capture the dramatic confrontation scene where Zeynep slips from a cliff. It was supposed to be controlled. There were harnesses, safety mats, and ropes. But nature is unpredictable. A sudden gust of wind, combined with the slippery surface from the rain machines used earlier in the day, created a recipe for disaster. When the director called action, Semra stepped to the edge to deliver her line. She looked fierce, beautiful, and in character. But as she turned, the ground beneath her boot crumbled. The safety cable, which was supposed to lock instantly, reportedly snagged and gave way for a terrifying 2 meters. Semra screamed. It was a scream of genuine, raw terror that pierced the air. She slid down the slope, heading straight for a jagged drop-off that would have resulted in severe injury or worse. The crew was too far away. The stunt coordinator was running, but he was too slow. But Gökberk, who was standing 5 meters away waiting for his cue, reacted with superhuman reflexes. Witnesses say he didn't run, he launched himself. He dove onto the muddy ground, sliding on his stomach, and reached out over the edge. His hand clamped around Semra's wrist just as she went over the lip of the cliff. The force of the stop was so violent that it reportedly dislocated Gökberk's shoulder, but he didn't let go. He didn't even wince. He dug his boots into the mud, using his entire body as an anchor, gritting his teeth, and looked down at Semra, who was swinging in the empty air, sobbing in shock. The silence on the set was deafening, broken only by Gökberk's strained voice shouting at her to look at him and breathe. He was heard yelling, "I have you. I promise I have you. Don't look down, look at my eyes." It was the most heroic, desperate declaration of love ever witnessed. For 30 agonizing seconds, he held her weight solely with his injured arm until the safety crew could rappel down and secure her. When they finally pulled Semra up to safety, the scene that followed was heartbreaking. She didn't stand up. She collapsed onto the ground, shaking uncontrollably. And Gökberk? He didn't ask for a medic for his shoulder. He crawled over to her, wrapping his good arm around her, pulling her head to his chest, and burying his face in her neck. He was whispering, "It's over, you're safe. I'm here," over and over again, rocking her like a child. The production was immediately shut down. An ambulance was called, not just for the shock, but for Gökberk's shoulder and the scrapes on Semra's legs. But the drama didn't end at the canyon. When the paramedics tried to put them in separate ambulances, Gökberk refused. He reportedly told the doctors that if they tried to separate him from her, they would have to sedate him. He sat in the back of the ambulance with her, holding her hand with his uninjured hand, refusing to let go even for a blood pressure check. A leaked photo from the hospital waiting room shows them sitting together, Semra wrapped in a blanket, looking pale, and Gökberk sitting next to her, looking exhausted but vigilant, his eyes scanning the room as if daring danger to approach her again. This accident has ripped away the veil of secrecy surrounding their relationship. You do not risk your life for a co-star. You do not dislocate your shoulder catching a friend. You do this for the person who holds your heart. The crew members are whispering that this was the moment everything changed. Before, they were professional partners with undeniable chemistry. Now, they are survivors bonded by trauma. Gökberk proved that he is the protector Halil Firat portrays on screen, but with a softness that Halil lacks. He showed that his priority isn't the show, the fame, or the money, it is Semra's breath. The producers of Rüzgarli Tepe released a brief statement saying that filming is suspended for a week due to a minor technical incident, but we know the truth. It wasn't minor. It was a miracle. And now, the fans are rallying behind them. The hashtag #Jekmisil Semra, get well soon Gökberk and Semra, is trending at #1. Fans are sending flowers to the hospital and flooding social media with prayers. But amidst the worry, there is a wave of romantic celebration. The fandom knows that this trauma will bond them for life. They faced death together, and they chose each other. There is also a rumor that Gökberk's mother rushed to the hospital the moment she heard the news. She was seen hugging Semra, crying, and thanking God that they were both alive. This confirms that the families are involved and that Semra is seen as more than just a colleague. She is family. As they recover in their homes today. Likely together, as sources say Gökberk insisted on taking her to his house to monitor her, we can only imagine the conversations they are having. When you almost lose someone, you realize that pride and games are meaningless. This accident might be the catalyst for a public announcement. Maybe, just maybe, when they return to the set, they will return with rings on their fingers, knowing that life is too short to hide. I want to ask you, my dear subscribers. Did your heart stop when you heard about the cliff? Do you think Gökberk is a real-life superhero? And how do you think they will film the rest of the season after such a traumatic event? I think every time Halil looks at Zeynep now, we will see the real fear and the real love of Gökberk looking at Semra. The acting is over. The reality has begun. We wish them both a speedy recovery. Take care of each other, you beautiful souls. You survived the storm on the windy hill. Make sure you are subscribed and make sure the bell is on. Today, we learned that a hero isn't the one who flies, it's the one who doesn't let go. Goodbye.